I have on purpose only left 14 minutes left on the end of my hard drive in the camera to spare everybody my long videos, because I can just go on and on about this kind of stuff. I want to keep my topics, succinct, to the point, and I'm already blowing it. Tonight I would like to do a video about the moon, because tonight it is a supermoon. It is a full moon that's just super. Look it up, it's awesome. I've wanted to do a video about the moon for a long time, and this is a subject that could go on and on past 14 minutes. But I was looking at the full moon tonight. I got my little cat here. Remember my cat from before? He just insisted to come down here with me. I tried to block him out by closing the door, and he ran through the crack. What am I going to do? He's kind of like my moon. If I'm the Earth and he's my satellite the last 5 days. But you got weirded out the last time I was talking out loud, because that's weird, because there's nobody else here. And you can't, yeah, he and I have a good communication. He knows what I'm talking about. Well, this will help keep the video short. I was doing all kinds of research about the moon before this. I just went to the videos where they're talking about the extreme theories. The people that say the moon is actually a device, spaceship. I think they really go too far with calling it a spaceship. That's just... I accept device, because the Earth was created. The Earth was created. And there's something strange about the moon. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. You look up there and you're like... It's like you want to love it, but you can, but you're just always in a state of suspicion. Whereas the sun, you look at it as this necessary reality. You can't look right at it because it's doing its job so much that you can't bear it. Whereas you can stare at the moon and there's just something about that. Well, the people that made it their careers to talk about the moon in ulterior terms, they point out how when there's a solar eclipse, it's an exact matchup where the moon's circumference is exactly in proportion for our viewing of the sun. There's plenty weird about that. There's plenty weird about how big it is, how close it is, and how it doesn't hit the Earth. The idea of gravity holding something in place, it's because it's pulling it. Well, there has to be some other force that's pulling away from it in order to come closer. But in fact, the moon is going further out, they say. He wants to jump down now. But, see, he comes down here and he messes this all up. But it makes it cute. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a part 2. But this is just... this is important to me because I think... I went to some videos. I watched like a George Noory Coast to Coast Radio where he interviewed some of these authors that really put it out there. And, of course, in all the associated videos along the side, there's the David Icke video. Well, I've never been against David Icke, but he throws some big things out there, and they're hard to grasp, and they're hard to accept. Yeah, even if you're open-minded, you're just like, well, but then he makes a lot of sense. Well, in this one, he was nailing it. Even if you disagree with him, you can't... His loquacity of brilliance is just great, and he was putting out a lot of things that I've thought on my own, and I was really happy that somebody else was putting it out there. I'm happy that I've got some original thoughts about the moon that he never touches on, and I'm kind of proud of that. I kind of don't want to talk about it because I was like, well, if he can make some money, maybe I can if I read a book. Yes, I believe the moon... I believe everything's a creation, you know. I mean, I believe in a higher power. I believe that this is all somebody's idea. So, the idea of just saying the moon is a creation, but the earth is a natural reality, that's not how I look at it. The earth grew. If it was moonless before, David Icke contends that the moon was put in place by an intervening group of beings that wanted to mess with us and make us less powerful. That's his contention. That its vibrational reality gets in touch with our genetics and keeps us idiots. Even the smart human beings, are idiots in comparison to what the human race was in the pre-flood period. And that perhaps the Great Flood was caused by the moon, and because it was set in place and it changed everything about the world, and the world had to adapt to the magnetism and the penetrating realities of the moon. I'm gonna run out of time, I'm sure. But, you know, I wasn't disagreeing with him. I was just like, okay, I was basically kind of going along with what he was saying and saying like, well, okay, that, and then maybe something else. I believe that we are all governed, and I hate the idea that this is a bad thing. We're governed by 12 tones. If you can place the color wheel over the circle of fifths in music. And it's a reality of 12 tones that goes into a cycle that comes clean on 13. And 13's always been looked at as an unlucky number, you know, something to fear. David Icke goes into the reptilian phase of it because he's got the reptilian dogma with what he talks about. But you can't deny that the ancient cultures worship dragons, these feathered dragons. There's just the story of the serpent in the Bible, the Quetzalcoatl. It's in South Africa, it's in China. The ancient sculptures, we're talking about a very dominating race of serpents influencing everything we did. And David Icke saying these are interdimensional beings that made the moon to guarantee that they have basically a transmission relation with us so they can do their thing to our psyches, and they can have fun with our lives and cause chaos and laugh, or just have fun dominating in their interdimensional ways. And now he's biting me. Stop that. I'm doing a video. You wanted to come down here. You want to see him bite me? He's going to bite. See, he's biting me. See, he's biting me. Kind of a good example was those serpentine statues in Central America with the big teeth. So he doesn't make horrible sense, because you can't deny that the earliest cultures of every continent in the world started off talking about serpents. But they all talk about an awesome race of human beings before that, before the serpents arrived. The moon, the way it faces the exact same proportions as it goes around the earth, is just, that's something. And you really think about it, it looks like something that was, you know, it was made to look like a natural thing. The craters don't make sense. You know, it's like, okay, if that crater hit, it would have had to go through the earth to hit, if it was going in a straight line, it would have to hit the earth to hit the moon. Unless it came at an angle, but they've mathematically worked it out that it's straight on. And how they're all the same depth. And that if they say they've sent things up that did seismic readings on the moon and say that it's hollow and it's made out of metal under all the the phony rock, and that the rock has a high degree of titanium that could only be the result of a nuclear event that would create what you're looking at. Well, I'm not ruling any of that out. Let's just say the moon is a device that was put in place to keep us in a certain state of mind. And the reason I think that makes sense is because we are governed by 12 tones that go into cycles. Here, I'm doing the world philosopher. Finally, I'm getting into philosophy. Each key of music is not an octave. It's 13. Every time you hit 13 on an ascending scale of the 12 tones, you start over, but at a higher pitch. Okay? And it causes a different feeling. Each key can be designated, and they've psychologically worked this out, as an emotion. It generates an emotion. So all these classic 12 emotions are governed by these keys. And you can hop in and out of them. They've got different power modes. And you got your tonic, your super tonic, and you know what I mean, the 1, 4, 5. Well, when you look at the Great Pyramid, it's the exact same ratio as music, where you look at the little one is more important than the big one. People think of the Great Pyramid as number 1, but no, the little one's more important. That's the tonic. And you got 4 and 5, and that's music, and it's a resonance. You can find that in anything if you really think about it. The moon goes around the world in 24 sections, the hours. And it's night and day. And you've got major and minor in music. And minor's dark, major's bright. Well, that's the 24 hours of the day. So we think of it that way, and we cognate these things based on an interpretation that's set in us, I believe, by the moon. And that's its purpose, to hold us in this cognation of understanding things, which might be a lie. It might just be you can factor it in colors, and you probably could factor it in taste and touch, and people just haven't worked that out yet. There are 12 races of human beings. You can go 12, 12, 12. You look at the calendar, the clock. You know, Happy New Year, you're looking up at 12. You're not looking at 12, you're looking at 13. Because that's the 13th hour. When you see 12 something, that's the 13th hour. The new octave. The new cycle. And this is all about the moon. Every time zone is governed by the size of the moon. People don't talk about that. David Icke doesn't talk about that. He goes on and on about all kinds of parts about it, but he doesn't talk about that. And I think it's resonance, and I think it's governance of our conception of things. I mean, talk about a takeover. Who knows what we were before? The legends talk about how great we were until we were invaded. Now, if you're going to put someone in prison, you got to put bars around them. You got to make it impossible for them to move. Perhaps that's what the moon does. I hope that's not the case, because I think it's beautiful. But I think a lot about this. And I think we are dealing with something that's very, very strategically thought out. And it works. And perhaps we are at an essential level unable to fight it. And that would be the ultimate dominance of any being that you can imagine. Well, I'm going to take him upstairs now and put this video online. Thank you for watching.